Hello, and welcome to the third filming of my Jazzy New Life. You just heard a wonderful song by my next guest, Maija Rejman. Maija, why don't you tell me what you sang?
I sang Triste, written by Tom Jobim.
Tom Jobim. I'm excited to have you here, so thank you so much for coming.
I'm excited to be here.
This is cool.
I think it's really cool, the series that you're doing. I'm just thrilled.
Thank you, thank you. Well, I just think these are wonderful stories that need to be told. I mean, you among many, I've met marvelous people, and I'm delighted.
And you're a marvelous person yourself.
Thank you. Thanks. I met you. I didn't know you, and you didn't know me, but I went to the Henley Park Hotel in downtown DC. And there was a vocalist there that I've now come to know quite well, Connie's Washington, was singing. And she did a couple songs, and then she called you up. And I didn't really pay attention to you until you started singing. And I thought, oh my God, that is such a unique sound coming from this woman. And I was so impressed. I was so impressed with that. As I said, we didn't know each other. But then later, I had an opportunity to do a workshop with Wayne Willents, whom we both know, and we're going to talk about Wayne. And you were there, and I said, oh my God, that's the one. So I was very, very excited to meet you. So you have a long history in this music. This music business thing that we're doing. And why don't you just share some of your history?
You know, my mom came here, she brought me here as a baby. I guess I was 18 months old. And she was leaving England, and she had escaped from the Holocaust. So some of my family did not escape, and some of my family did. And my mother got out. Her uncle and my grandmother were both, they both died in the camps, you know.
Oh my.
And so my mom was in an unhappy situation, so she wanted to leave, so she came to the United States. And she was sponsored by Mr. Garson, who owned the Love Bowl Brassiere Company. and that was what my mother did. She made brassieres in a factory.
Wow.
You know. And he was a great, I want to talk about him for a second because he was wonderful. He hired, he had a lot of African-American workers, and he paid the highest salary in town.
And this was in New York?
This was in Atlanta.
Atlanta?
This was in Atlanta.
Ah.
We came in through New York.
Okay.
And then we went to Atlanta because that's where my mother had a job. So, and he was wonderful. He only, he was an incredible man. Way ahead of his time. Way ahead of his time. He paid like ultra high, you know, salaries for just regular factory workers.
Wow.
You know? Yeah, he was a wonderful guy. And every time he would see you, he'd put a silver dollar in your hand.
Wow.
Yeah.
Bernie Sanders would have liked him then.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and we lived in Atlanta for a while, and then we moved to Jacksonville. And it was in Jacksonville that I started singing. I started singing country music.
Wow.
Hank Williams. My first song was The Long Gone Lonesome Blues.
The Long Gone Lonesome Blues.
And I was 9 years old, so it was a little bit more adult than they wanted me to sing. Because I auditioned for a TV show, and they said, "Oh, well, you have a great voice and you sound great, but you can't sing that song." I said, "Really? Why not?" I do so well.
Yeah. That wouldn't be an issue now, right?
No. So I had to sing, Would You Like to Swing on a Star?
Ah, okay.
You know.
Would you like to swing on a star?
Right. Instead of I got the long gone night, the long gone lonesome blues.
Oh, you did that so well. They should have let you sing it.
They should have picked the other one. So anyway, so I started singing on TV and won some contests, you know.
Oh, wow.
And my mother was, at that time, was kind of a stage mom, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And she would get people to send in postcards to vote for me, and so I would win the contest.
Oh, so this was before American Idol.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, so that was the pilot for it.
The American Idol of that time was...
American Bandstand.
No. It was a talent show. And it was put on by what is now Berkeley, so I won the citywide one for that show, and then I started recording when I was 12. I started recording demos for Jerry Ryder. And just, you know, like early rock songs. Because, and then, I don't know if you know about the lost class of '59.
No, I don't.
Okay, segregation became big, and schools would shut down everywhere. So my father had to move. He was in the Navy. My stepfather was in the Navy, and he had to move to Norfolk.
Okay.
Norfolk,
I know
Virginia.
Norfolk well, yeah.
And so there was no school because of the lost class of '59. Because of segregation, a lot of places refused to open the schools.
Okay.
They refused to integrate. So there was a whole period of time when I guess it was at least a half a year that the kids didn't go to school.
That was just in Atlanta.
No, by then I was in Virginia.
You're in Virginia, in Norfolk. Ah, that's interesting.
No, that was all over the country.
Yeah, well, I grew up on a military base, so I was completely oblivious to that because I was around at that time.
Right.
But I was a little girl.
Right.
Ah, okay, okay.
Yeah.
That's a bit of history I should know.
Well,
I gotta look it up.
And at the time that I was making recordings and stuff, my school was continuing, but my stepbrother was stationed in Norfolk, so we had to leave Boston, so I couldn't go to school anymore because when we got to Norfolk, school was closed.
Okay.
Because they refused to integrate.
Wow. And this is the lost class of '59.
Lost class of 59.
Well, you've given me something to look up and read about.
I think it was '59. Let me think. Was it '59 or?
And you said that lasted half a year, and so that impacted.
Was it '59 or was it? Let me think for a second, because I was 12. So it would have been '57.
Okay.
57.
Right.
The lost class of '57.
Okay.
So I got that wrong.
Okay.
The lost class of '57.
Okay.
But at any rate, there was a time when in the South, when cities would choose not to open their schools, so they would keep segregation alive.
Okay.
Eventually, though, everybody had to integrate.
Sure.
And, they just had to swallow their pride and
Sure, well, you had Brown
Move
versus
on.
Board of
Right.
Education, yeah, sure,
Right.
sure.
right,
Mhm,
right.
mhm.
Thank God.
Yeah.
And but we were already integrated
Mhm.
in Boston,
Mhm.
where I went to school. I went to Girls Latin School in Boston.
Sure, sure.
And so we were already totally integrated.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
uh,
No, it was just that crap below the Mason-Dixon line. So, all right.
so it was kind of hard to move down south, you know,
Mhm,
and it's kind of going backwards, you know,
mhm,
in time
mhm.
to a place where, you know, I was only surrounded by people whose skin was the color of mine,
Mhm.
and of course, you know, I come from a people that are also, you know, have been persecuted
Oh,
also
absolutely.
because
Sure,
I'm a Jew, I'm
Right.
Jewish, you know,
Yes,
so.
yes.
So, like I said, my mom escaped the Holocaust, so
Wow.
I'm not a stranger to
Struggle, right?
to struggling. Yes,
Sure,
that's right. Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
Okay. So you're, by this time you said you're 12?
I stopped singing then.
You
I
stopped singing,
Right.
okay.
I was actually 13 by then,
Okay.
and I stopped singing for a while.
Mhm.
I didn't sing.
Why did you stop?
Well, I didn't have the record company, you know,
Okay.
to hire me,
Mhm.
and I didn't have anybody. I wasn't hooked in there.
Okay,
When I was in Boston, I was hooked into the industry.
all right.
But it's hard for a 12-year-old or a 13-year-old to get hooked in if there's nobody hiring you. You know?
Right,
So I was
okay.
being hired
Okay.
to sing,
Sure.
and
But you were still very lucky at 13. It would have been hard anywhere at that
I
age,
know.
right? And you needed parental
and I think we
consent.
skipped because we
Yeah.
skipped a little bit of it because when we lived before we lived in Boston, we lived in Rhode Island,
Okay.
and Newport, Rhode Island. I
Mhm.
sang there every week on
Mhm.
a radio station
Mhm.
for the USO.
Ah,
yeah.
okay, cool.
So
Were you getting paid?
no,
No.
that's when I was
Okay.
11.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay,
and I wasn't getting paid.
all right,
Yeah,
all right.
but I was getting ice cream. Free
Okay,
ice cream.
well, that's good. All right.
And honestly, I wasn't all that good.
Uh-huh.
I became. I also became a member of a theater group,
Mhm.
and I sang. We did musicals. We did Kismet, Kiss Me Kate, and some songs from The Wizard of Oz.
Okay,
You know,
okay.
and when I went back to listen to myself on the radio show, I was not happy.
You weren't-
I was like, I didn't think I sounded very good. You know, I was like, really, you know.
Well, you know, we are our own worst critics,
I know,
right?
I know.
Okay.
But when I recorded,
Uh-huh.
in Boston, that was good.
Uh-huh.
That sounded good.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right.
And the first song I ever recorded was called "You're Spoiling Me."
You're spoiling me. And who wrote You're Spoiling Me?
Jerry Ryder
Jerry Ryder.
and Jerry
Okay.
Diamond.
And
Jerry Diamond and Jerry Ryder.
Okay, okay.
And Jerry Diamond was one of the writers of Angel Baby, which was a big, huge hit.
Mhm.
And yeah, he was part of that group.
Okay, okay. So fast forward a bit. When did you come here?
Oh, we came here when I was 15,
All right.
and I graduated high school in this area. And about 3 years after high school, I sang at Bohemian Caverns
Mm-hmm. Okay,
with
I
Bobby
didn't-
Timmons.
Sure.
Yeah,
On U Street.
on U Street.
Wow, I didn't know it. I didn't know Bohemian Caverns was
It was there for a long time.
for a long time. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And that was the time period, probably like 75, 76.
Okay.
With that.
And how did you
76.
how did you get hooked into that
This guy heard me sing, and he loved my singing, so he offered me a job there. So.
So he was a talent person at the cavern?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay,
Yeah.
okay. All right. And so you had a regular gig there?
Yeah.
How often
I didn't
did you
stay
sing?
there very long though. I
Okay.
was just there once a week,
Once a week? Uh-huh.
and I was there for, a few months.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, I think I was in over my head. I knew how to sing, but I wasn't a jazz singer
Mm-hmm.
at that time.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So performing with Bobby Timmons, that was way over my head.
Okay. Okay.
So
That's what you thought, but,
yeah.
but no one else thought that, right?
Right. Well.
Okay. All right. We're always so hard on ourselves. All right. So you left Bohemian Caverns. Where'd you
I
go
left
after
there,
that?
and then I stopped singing again.
You stopped
I
singing.
stopped singing.
Ah.
Yeah. And
For how long this time?
well, actually, I stopped singing for just a small amount of time, and then
Mhm.
I joined a rock group.
A rock group.
I joined a rock group. Yeah.
What was the name of the rock group?
I couldn't tell you now. My wife depended on it.
So that didn't last very long.
No, it did last
It
for
did?
a while.
Okay.
Because I had the PA system, so it.
So you were an integral part of it.
I was an integral part of it. Yeah.
So where
It was
did
all women. It was
all
an
women rock-
group. Right.
the musicians as well?
Yeah, everybody.
Oh, wow.
Everybody.
And you can't remember the name? I'd love to know.
I don't.
Okay, maybe it'll come. We'll come back to it.
It may
So,
never. It may never
it
come
may never
back
come
at this
back.
point.
So you performed around DC, the DMV?
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. And then at some point I decided to go to school and make something of myself,
Okay.
because I hadn't really been doing much except falling in love and falling out of love, falling in love,
Those are
falling out of
important
love,
things. You were in a rock band.
waiting
for
on
God's sakes.
tables, and
So that stuff. Okay. All right.
And then I decided, well, I should go to school.
Okay.
And
All right.
eventually I went to school at, I had been at the University of Maryland after graduating, but then I decided I didn't really like it, and so
Yeah.
I left.
Yeah.
And this time I went to school in earnest.
Mhm.
And, I got into a long-term relationship, went to school,
Yeah.
and started working toward a nursing degree.
Okay.
Because I figured, whether I sing or not, I still have to eat.
Yes. That's
I have
important.
and I have to support myself.
Yes. Uh-huh.
So I knew I had to have a decent job, something that would interest me.
Mhm.
The only two things I've ever been interested in are medicine and music.
Okay.
So-
The two M's. That's
The two
important.
M's, that's
Okay.
right. Yep. Yeah. So, and I was gifted in that area
Okay.
of, I always did well with my studies,
Okay.
So,
Good. Good.
and just as soon as I graduated, about 3 months after, I became an assistant head nurse.
Oh wow.
So, and that was fast.
Good. So where were you? What hospital?
I was working at a hospital which no longer exists, but it exists as another name.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. It was Arlington Hospital,
Okay.
and then I think now it's Virginia Hospital.
Okay.
So,
Okay. Sure.
and it's run by Dimensions. It's run by a different group.
Yeah.
you know.
Okay. Okay.
And I had started out as a nurse working in ICU, but I didn't like it because ICU people are sick. You can't talk to them.
Oh, you can't talk.
You
Okay.
can't talk. They
Okay.
don't talk.
Okay.
They're too sick to talk.
Okay.
And I realized that I wanted to talk
Mm-hmm.
to people,
Mm-hmm.
and that would always be a very important part of my nursing skills,
Mm-hmm.
talking.
Mm-hmm.
And later on, I realized that I enjoyed making people laugh. So
yeah.
as a nurse, those things were important to me.
Sure. Laughing being the best medicine, right?
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. And I worked a long time with addictions and alcoholism and also eating disorders
Mm-hmm.
for a long time.
Okay.
And I moved from that hospital to Washington Hospital Center, where I stayed for a long time.
Ah.
And
Okay.
and while I was working at Washington Hospital Center, I had a career as a singer as well.
Okay. So how did you balance that?
Well, it was hard because I started singing, got into another relationship. You know, there was always a series of
Yeah,
relationships.
that stuff gets in the way, right?
But this time, we got married, although, you know, we couldn't be married legally, but we got, you know, we had a partnership, you know, and we adopted a child from China, and so I was working at Washington Hospital Center and singing and making albums, and you know, I made this album, these two albums. This was my first one.
The first one, okay. And this
Before
is in
We Lose Tomorrow.
This is in 93.
92.
92.
Yeah.
All right. Before We Lose Tomorrow.
And I think this one's 96. Yeah. In another
in
lifetime.
Another life. Okay. Another lifetime.
In,
okay.
in another lifetime.
Okay.
In
We got
another
these two.
lifetime.
All right.
Yeah.
So okay, let's you've done a lot. So
I was singing
got,
everywhere then.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah.
So were you working shifts as a nurse?
I was. I would work the evening shift.
Okay. So how did you do the evening shift?
And still sing.
And sing.
Because I was off for the weekends.
You did the weekend. Okay, so you
Yeah.
work Monday through Friday. And you did the weekends.
Right.
All right. So what are some of the places you performed?
Oh wow, that was so much fun. You know, Sharon Clark and I performed at the same place called
wow.
the Tum Tum, and I actually have an announcement of us singing at that club together. Not on the same stage at the same time, but we were both at that club. I was at a place called Trumpets. Wayne Willents and I played many a Sunday afternoon at the Post Office Pavilion, which is now the Trump Hotel.
Oh, okay. All right, we won't hold that against you.
I sang at Blues Alley.
Okay.
And, I sang at a lot of the clubs. I actually sang at the Henley Park, and you know, the clubs were different then. There were a lot of different clubs. I sang at Food for Thought. I sang at Kramer's afterwards.
Okay, I know Kramer. So did you have an agent, or you just called places up and said, look, I need to
I
sing there?
never had an agent.
Okay,
No.
so agents are not necessary, are they?
No.
Okay, good.
No.
All right, do you hear that? Agents are not necessary. Okay. All right. So you've mentioned.
Some of them aren't bad though. I mean,
Yeah.
you know,
No, some of them are.
some of them only take 15%.
Yeah.
You know,
All
that's
right.
not too
Well,
bad.
it's, you know, I became a real estate broker. I was an agent, but I became a broker because I did not want to give 50% to anybody.
Oh,
so I
yeah.
had real issues with giving
Yeah.
percentages. So.
Yeah. I don't blame you.
So you've mentioned names that I've come to know. So Wayne Willents,
Yes.
Sharon Clark. I mean, those are
And-
those are two people that are institutions here in the
Right.
DMV,
Right.
and
yeah.
I'm very delighted to know them.
And I worked with a lot of
Yeah.
performers that you know now, like
Yeah.
James King.
Yes.
I worked with him all the time. Tommy
Yes.
Cecil,
Right.
Mike Smith, who's gone unfortunately, David Kane,
Okay.
Drew Grass, Keter Betts.
Wow.
Let's see.
So you've had these
Somebody-
long
Bob
relationships.
Buddha?
Yes, long relationships. See, I'm just coming into this, but you guys have been hanging around. That's really cool.
Yeah.
How did you? So you have 3 CDs actually.
Yeah.
Your
this
last
one was my last one
Yeah.
was in 2016.
2016.
Right.
So tell me, how did the CDs come about? The first one. Why did you decide that you needed to have a CD?
Well, it's hard to get jobs without a calling card.
So this is a calling
This
card.
is a calling card.
Okay. Okay.
I consider that's what a CD is. It's your calling card.
Okay.
But I also got a lot of great reviews,
Okay.
so
okay.
that helped too. You know.
Okay. Okay.
I got wonderful reviews. I was reviewed by some national publications and some international publications, and so that went really well.
Well, let me just cheat. I have a cheat sheet here. So, national jazz critics and aired on jazz stations in the U.S., Japan, Europe, and Voice of America. That's really cool. So, how did you work that out? I mean, I'm dying to just get some recognition somewhere. How do you
I
get
didn't
recognition?
I did have an agent that took care of my recordings.
Okay.
So that agent got me, got my radio play everywhere.
Okay.
You know? And, and I was selling my CD too. You know, and it was selling in Japan.
Okay.
So, you know, and in different cities in Europe. You know.
So you made a little money on the CD?
And you know, you don't make much.
I know, not much. but you cover the cost of it.
Make a few pennies.
So tell me about the songs on there, on this one. This is...
that I always thought this was my best work.
Okay. Tell me
because, and this is my theory,
Before we
Maija's
miss
theory
tomorrow.
of relativity,
Okay.
is when you're hungry, you do your best work.
That's true.
You know?
And I know that you have
when
a
you're
choice.
hungry for recognition and hungry for success, then you really work hard. And this was a dream come true, and I was so proud of this. I'm very proud of it even today. I never cringe when I listen to it.
Wonderful.
You know, some people cringe at their early work, not me.
Not you.
This I'm very proud of.
Very good.
And,
Very good.
And Felix Grant, who was a wonderful DJ, who was responsible for bringing a lot of bossa nova to this city, he took an interest in my career, and he wrote the liner notes, and he played my music, but he died before the actual album came out. Yeah. So,
Okay.
yeah.
You, I know you now, and I associate you with Brazilian tunes.
Right.
And I'm impressed with that.
Oh, thanks.
You know,
I can't not sing Brazilian music.
You cannot sing Brazilian. So tell me about your love for Brazilian music, how that came to be. You lived in Atlanta, right? Boston. That's a long way from Brazil.
Oh yeah.
So tell me.
I told you this story that I was downtown in Melody Records, which no longer exists, but Melody Records was an institution. It was huge, and I heard Amor e Paixão, which is a Milton Nascimento tune, and it was being sung by Simone, who is a very, very big Brazilian singer. And I just went to the record store owner. I said, "Who is this? I have to have it." And so I bought it immediately, and went home. And over the course of the next few years, I learned all of the tunes on the album, and some of the tunes that I learned are on that first album that I did. For instance, Simone sang a Spanish song called Contigo Aprendi. She sang Antes que seja tarde, Mistérios. I sang that tune. That one I didn't get from Simone. And Hazy Hyenas do Maracatu. So I sang those songs on my first album.
So did you know Portuguese? Do you know it? Do you know the language?
I studied it, and I learned how to pronounce it, and I had a tutor to teach me how to sing, how to pronounce the Portuguese. Now, I will say this, I have a great ear for languages.
Okay.
You know.
Okay.
I mean, I've always had this facility with languages.
Okay.
And so if I hear something, I can, parrot it back, like a parrot,
Okay.
You know,
That's good.
so.
That's a rare talent. So you went to Brazil. Did you?
Later on. I went to Brazil much later.
Much later.
I started singing Brazilian music long before
you went there.
Yeah.
But when you went there, did you sing? Did you perform with any Brazilian artists?
I did. I went to a club and sang there, sat in.
Okay.
But I mean, it wasn't, I didn't go there to sing. I went there to have fun.
Okay.
So, right.
Okay. All right.
And
are you immersed in the Brazilian culture at all here? It's a large population.
Yeah, well, for a while I was in the bateria at Baba School of Music, the Baba Bateria.
Okay.
It's a samba school. And so for a while I played tambourine.
Oh, okay.
And I have a lot of Brazilian friends, and
Okay.
I go to a lot of Brazilian events, and I've been working recently at Mr. Henry's, bringing a lot of Brazilian shows.
Sure, sure,
Yeah.
sure. I'm remiss by not mentioning that you were accompanied by Felipe Pacanella.
Oh yeah.
And
Yeah.
I apologize for that, Felipe. Felipe is also the man behind the camera, so you can't see him. An extraordinary musician, and also a videographer. So I don't know how one can do two
All
things
those
well,
things, yeah.
but he's there. Well, I want to talk.
He's a very humble guy.
He's very humble. He's very humble, and without him, none of this is possible. So thank you.
My pleasure.
So you get to hear his voice, and you heard him play the piano.
Yeah.
So, Ma, you've done some amazing things. I'm just, I'm in awe.
Oh,
I got to tell you, I think you're a fantastic person, and what you're doing now, and the reason I know you, is that you are helping everyone else. And
Yeah.
I think the glory in life comes not so much for what we do for ourselves, but what we do for others.
Oh, I totally agree.
And you're magnificent. So you are running a couple different things, but what I know most about is the New Voices.
Mm-hmm.
And you gave me a chance in New
I
Voices.
did. Yeah.
And at Mr. Henry's.
And you were great.
Oh, I thank you. When I look at some of the videos, I don't know, but one thing I am is intrepid. I don't let what mistakes hold me back, but you helped me with that, and you continue to help me and other vocalists. And we're just crazy about you. I don't know if you know that, but it's just amazing that you take the time to lend your talents to help launch us. And most of us we're gigging. We got CDs, and we made connections with the musicians, and we're a lovely family,
Yes,
and I really appreciate that.
Well, it has become my goal in life to create pathways for other artists, you know, and not just singers, but when I met Jose, I took an avid interest in his career.
Yes.
And and that's still the case.
Sure. Well, musicians. Your love of music. It's.
But I'm always putting people in my shows and bringing people into my shows, and getting them started.
Sure.
Like, okay, well,
Sure.
it's time to sing. So come on my show and sing. And sometimes people aren't all that great yet, but that's okay.
But you got to start somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
Is there anyone, and maybe I shouldn't ask this because you need to say me, but is there anyone you're most proud of over the time? You've been doing this now for 3 years?
Honest, the truth is, I'm not most proud of anybody.
Okay.
I help people regardless of where they are in their development. So I try to be non-judgmental, and that's not easy.
Sure.
That's not easy.
Yeah.
And I think it's a trap you can fall into if you start getting too judgmental,
Sure.
So
Sure.
I help everybody regardless,
Mhm.
and especially now that I'm booking that or curating that show at Mr.
Yeah,
Henry's.
talk about your shows and then some your upcoming shows.
Yeah, I'm curating a show, a series of shows on Thursday nights at Mr. Henry's, and there are a lot of Brazilian shows, but there's all kinds of shows. There's dancing, there's singing. I'm doing Brazilian shows that end up, as dances, and I get to give a lot of people opportunities that way, and I love that. So, but also, I'm learning a new skill, acting as a booking agent,
Sure.
Although I don't take money for what I do because I love it and I do it for the joy of it.
Wow.
And I don't need the money.
Okay.
So, not to say that I'm rich, but I'm well taken care of.
Okay.
So I can afford to do what I love
Mm-hmm.
and not make money at it. And I think that makes me a better at my job, better at what I'm doing, because I don't have to earn a living.
Sure.
And so
Sure.
I don't have to compromise my values, ever,
Certainly.
you know.
Yeah, yeah.
And I'm working with Kathy Nagy at Mr. Henry's, and she is a person of such high integrity,
Mm-hmm.
and I would never have to compromise my values to work with her. So,
Okay. Well,
it's
that's
great.
you're in a wonderful place.
Yeah, it
And
is a
you
wonderful
are
place.
indeed very wealthy, because, you know, we associate wealth with money, but wealth is
No,
something far greater than that.
yeah.
And helping those along the way is.
So I still get to do my new voices,
Sure.
and I get to hire singers and bring them
Yeah.
in and,
Mhm.
and introduce them to Mr. Henry's. And,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and
So that's a lot, and you're still performing. Where are you performing next?
at Mr. Henry's,
Mr. Henry's, okay.
on March 12th,
Mm-hmm.
and then I'm at Ajax.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right.
And then I'll be at Mr. Henry's again.
Okay.
Several
Okay.
times, about 4 more times.
Cool.
And then next week I have new voices too.
Mm-hmm. At Mr. Henry's.
Yeah.
Okay. And this is what? And how many new voices have there been?
Oh, this is the 12th one.
The 12th one.
Right.
So you do them twice a year?
Four times a year.
4 times a year.
4 times a year.
Wow.
Yeah.
And that's a lot to put together.
It is.
Yeah.
It is hard to find those people.
Sure. Sure.
Sometimes I'm thinking, oh, maybe I should stop this.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
it's so hard.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because it's hard to find 6 singers, you know, every
Mhm.
time. And
Mhm.
I've long since not been able to find all guys. Like I used to have 3
Yeah.
men and 3 women.
Yeah.
Can't do that anymore.
So why are there more female singers than
I have
male?
no idea.
What's in jazz especially? It's
Yeah.
interesting.
It's
interesting.
a lot easier for me to find the women singers
Yeah.
than it is.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, I keep doing that, and
Mhm.
and I love this new show. I love
Mhm.
doing
Mhm.
that. So
Very good. Well, you know, I thank you so much for what you've done for me,
Oh.
and because of you, I've made these wonderful connections. And
not just because of me.
well, no, I mean,
You were going to make those connections anyway.
well, I don't know.
You're a phenomenon in your
Well,
own right.
Well, thank you. I don't know. Well,
Yeah.
I don't know.
You are quite a phenomenon.
Well,
I'm so impressed with you.
That's kind of you to say thank you. Well, I
You've done more in 2 or 3 years than some people do in a lifetime.
really. Oh,
Yeah.
gosh. Well,
You've come a long way,
uh,
and there's no doubt that you will, whatever it is you want to do, you'll do it.
I'll get it
Yeah,
done.
I have no doubt in my mind.
Well, thank
Yeah.
you for that. Thank you for that. Well, you helped me a great deal.
And I love this new series that you're doing,
Yeah, it's so much fun.
My Jazzy Life.
It's my jazzy new life. It is just so fun. It's so much
Yeah.
fun, and I look forward to talking with folks. And as I said, these are incredible. Your story is incredible.
Oh, thank
And I think the world needs to know about your story, because I think your stories, along with the others, inspire. And that's what we have a responsibility to do.
Yes,
So I thank you. I thank you so much for being here.
thank you very much.
And when we do, when we're in show number 52 or something, you'll have to come back.
Okay.
All right. Thanks
right.
so much, Maija.
All right, thank
Best
you.
of luck.
Great,
All right.
great seeing you today.
Okay, that's it. We will see you guys the next time.
All
Thanks
right.
for tuning in. Bye.